So, hi guys, welcome back. This is my spring wrap up, and unfortunately, I'm recording this scene again from the very beginning because my mic just don't wanna work today. So, I'm sorry if audio is weird. I will try to also record it on the phone, but it's also not great. Like, it just keep disconnecting. Even it's like the battery is full. I don't understand. Okay, but I'm just pissed off that I have to record everything from the very beginning. It's like half an hour without an audio. How wonderful it is. So, okay, let's start from March. Um, First of all, I want to mention book I was talking about in my currently reading section on the previous reading update. This is Thrilling Adventures of Lovelace and Babbage by Sidney Padua. It's I think you could say graphic novel. It's a collection of comics about Ada Lovelace and Charles Babbage. When I was updating it last time, I finished only the first smaller part of the book, which talks about the actual history of Lovelace and Babbage, and then the other section of the book. It's What If by also kind of alternative universe. It's fascinating. I absolutely love this book. Not only because of the art style, but also there's a lot of math, there's a lot of programming, and in the What If section, a lot of the changes in this alternative universe that also explains by some math theories or something like that. In there is notes about like after kind of each chapter. So if you like math, if you like programming, and you like graphic novels, just read this book. Honestly, I wish I knew about it earlier because it was absolutely fascinating. Also, I'll give it to my sister, she also really like it. Also, another kind of newly bought book was uh, by Ірына Самойлова and Наталля. Кухарчыk. This is a children's book telling about different female historical figures in Belarus, and each story of each woman is illustrated by different artists, so there's a lot of different styles of illustration. It's absolutely beautiful. Also, it's bilingual. It's there was two publishing versions. Mine is Belarusian plus English, and also there is Russian plus English. Yeah, I'm really happy that I bought this book. Absolutely love it. Then I finally read the Miss Peregrine Home trilogy. Not sure is it the correct way to call it book series, because I think there's more books after the first three, but I'm not sure is it like another trilogy of it's all the continuation of the same series. I wanted to read these books for a while. I think since the first one was turned into a movie, but I kinda did wanted to read it when it was hyped, and then I didn't have time, or like I had different books in mind. But I finally read it. I'm glad that I did it. Not that like I absolutely love the series, but yeah. The one thing that I wish I read only the first book and not all the other one, because for me like the first book was great and it just went downhill from this. You haven't heard about this series. In this world there are people and kids with kind of supernatural powers or special abilities, whatever, and they are called peculiar children. And also there are these women imprints, I think it's how you call them. I'm not sure because I read the Russian translation. So they have powers to turn into birds, but also work with time. So they protect the children. They live in this isolated, in time and space blocks of Earth, and yeah, they protect these kids. Another thing is that people living in this isolated time space sections don't kinda grow up and get old while they are in this section, because time repeats itself in like usually a singular day. But the issue is that when they go and try to go to the outer world, the times go on, and all their lived days and just like suddenly make them really really old people, or sometimes they even die if they spend too much time in these areas. And it was kind of main conflict because between some characters who lived in these places and the main character from our time. And in general, I really like the world building. I really like the different abilities. And but the thing is, the plot line in the second book, there was like one moment when they think they are carrying Ymbrine in the bird form with them, and in the end, you know that it's not that easy. I was feeling suspicious about this freaking bird from the very beginning, because all the situation like this, these bad guys was kidnapping Ymbrines and kidnapping powerful Ymbrines, and for some reason in one moment they took one Ymbrine and saw another one in a cage in the ocean instead of bringing her with them. And I was suspicious about it from the very beginning, but none of the characters, nobody, saw there's something wrong. I know they're kids, but some of them are teenagers, and quite smart teenagers. So I was really surprised that like nobody questioned it. They thought like, oh yeah, it's hard on her, like, oh, it's like her, probably her like kind of birth personality, just like affecting her mind. And what about the last book, The Library of Souls? In general it was cool, but I hated the ending. It was like, oh, now everything is fine, everything lives happily, everything is great, like la la la. And the main issue with all this living in insulated time spots and going outside, or the impossibility of going outside. I don't know how to say it correctly, but I guess you understood what I mean. It was the main conflict in the relationship of two main characters, and suddenly in the very end, because of the different circumstances, everything just solves itself just like that, and everything is fine. I hated it. It was like just for me it was the worst ending ever. I would prefer like dark ending over this one. But yeah, what else? So I think I will not read any other books, any continuation one, because I was so disappointed with the last one. Like, you know, I think I gave like first one 5 stars and then like the last one 3 stars. It was just like disappointing me more and more and more. But like the very ending, just like, for me it was completely wrong, unfortunately. And yeah, by the way, the first 2 books I've read in March, but the third one I read in April for our Peterson for Transfiguration. That was kind of the reason I've started this trilogy right now, because I had no idea what to read for the challenge, and someone recommended it, and I thought like, oh, I will read the prologue for the first book, and I've suddenly read the first 2 in like a couple of days. So yeah, but I read the third one in April. Also, I've finally finished the Paper Girl series. Actually read 3 last volumes, so 4, 5, 6, and I've counted volume 4 and volume 5 for owls. One of them went for astronomy challenge and one for potions challenge. So, what I could say? I absolutely love it, because it's time travel, but also I really love the main character. By the way, this is the first volume, and here you can see the 4 main characters, these newspaper delivery girls from the 80s, and suddenly like, just life happens and they start to time travel. And The thing is, I was a little bit confused with the timeline in the beginning, and also I've seen a couple of reviews from other people who read only the first volume, and they was talking about like, yeah, the art is cool, like characters are cool, but like the plot is like really messy with all this stuff, like I don't understand anything and whatever. The thing is, to understand this series, you need to read the whole series. That's what I could say after finishing it. I was also quite confused in some moments, and the thing is, it's not only time travel. A lot of characters is time traveling. But you are following the timeline of main 4 paper girls, and even when sometimes they are separated from each other, they are kind of the main characters of the story, and you're following their timeline and how they see this. But the other characters are also time traveling in different directions, so their timeline from their point of view is different. And there are a lot of different characters, like there is the creator of time travel, time machines, there are this young woman with her son from a very ancient times, and there are like these 2 different groups of people from the future who are fighting for the right to time travel on their own terms, or not to time travel almost. And there are also clones of some of the main characters. So yeah, and also while you're time traveling, you're meeting the older versions of the actual characters. So, and each of them lives through their own timeline, and the thing is, while you continue, especially I feel like the volume 5 and 6, but even volume 4, you are starting to come back to the events you've already seen from a point of view of Paper Girls, but you start to see them from a point of view of other characters, and in the volume 6 it's finally all intertwined together and you can see the whole picture. Also, you understood that some of the characters are not who you think they are, and the overall ending was absolutely fascinating. I really love it, and I highly recommend it if you like graphic novels and you like time travel. Yeah, and I wanna reread it already. Well, then for the hours I've read Harry Potter and Philosopher's Stone, or Harry Potter и Философский камень, because that's the Belarusian edition. I finally finished it. It was published in December last year, and I kinda started it in December, but I don't know why I didn't have time or right mood or whatever. I couldn't finish it for some weird reason, because I was super hyped, but I finished this book only in April, like almost 5 months later. I don't know. But yeah, I really like this translation. The thing is, there are some moments where I was like, I'm missing something, but I mostly read Harry Potter in Russian. Still haven't finished the English edition, even of Philosopher's Stone. But I've read it in Russian many times. I think I've reread the whole series more than 10 times, maybe even 15 or somewhere around this. So it's kinda almost subconsciously engraved in my memory, and I remember that specific version that I've read. And the thing is, I didn't compare that Russian translation and the English one, the English original, word to word, but I've heard from different articles that the translation is not great in some moments, because for some reason translator was over-explaining or even adding their own phrases and explanations to the text, so it's bigger, and there are some details which was added and they don't exist in the original English text. And I remember the meeting with the translator about the Belarusian edition, and how she was talking about it. She was trying to not over-explain stuff, because like if British kids understand it, that Belarusian kids would understand it. We don't need to over-explain the obvious things, and so that's why maybe while I was reading it, I was thinking like I'm missing something. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have energy to open 3 books all together and compare everything. It might be an interesting experience, but I don't want to do so. But anyway, I'm really hyped. I hope to see the second book soon. I think they are translating it already, and yes, they were kind of saying like, oh, if it will be successful, we will translate everything. But you know, the first print was 2,000 copies, and they've sold it somewhere around 3 months, almost everything. So they had to make another print batch, and I think for the small country where unfortunately Belarusian language is not that popular sometimes, like I think it's awesome and it's really popular. I think it was sold even better than the Witcher, because Witcher also was translated in Belarusian, I think September last year or something like that. I haven't read The Witcher because I don't like fantasy, but it was really hyped as well. And Harry Potter was sold better than The Witcher. Also, I really hope that they will translate the Tales of Beetles About and Quidditch to the Ages, all that stuff, because I still haven't read anything of it. And the reason is that I'm too lazy to read the English version. I could, but I don't want to. So it's like, and the thing is, there are actually 2 Russian translations. The one that I read is the older one, and that publishing house, I think they also translated and published at least some of the additional books. But then they decided that the Harry Potter doesn't bring them that much money, and they sold the publishing rights. So another publishing house bought the rights, made their own translation, published it, and they still publishing it. And I hate the translation. I absolutely, desperately hate it. And the thing is, I think that Tales of Beetles About, the older version, was printed in a small batch, so it's almost impossible to find it. Everywhere in the shops you will see the newer translation, and I don't want to buy it by any means. So I really hope I will see the Belarusian edition one day. Oh, if I didn't mention, I've counted this book for arithmetic in owls. Then for owls, I've read All the Things I Never Said by May Krell. I counted it for charms, and I hated this book. Not that like I hated, I didn't like it. I have a weird relationship with poetry. I mean, I like Russian poetry, I like Belarusian poetry, at least most of the time. But with English poetry, for some reason I can't find anything that I will like. It's either completely brain-melting thing, or it's like weird teenage struggles of like breakup, which basically what was this book. And I finished it, but I was like, oh my god, when it will end, when it will come to the end, like I can't. Thank God it was really small. And I read it for the challenge, but I didn't have anything else I could use. I had another white book for the challenge, but I was going to use it for another Owls challenge because it was the only book fitting for the herbology, so I have only that poetry collection left for the challenge. So yeah, even though I've read quite a good amount for books for owls, in April I've read 5. For some reason I haven't read the books I've needed for the challenge I've selected, for the career I've selected. I haven't read a book for Ancient Runes and for History of Magic. And the thing is, in the beginning of May I thought, yeah, I will just quickly refinish everything, it will be fine. And I've read one book which I counted for Ancient Runes. I read it like later in May, but I haven't read anything fitted for History of Magic. Actually, I haven't finished a single book since the beginning of May. I've started one, but I haven't finished anything. It was a horrible reading month, honestly. So for Ancient Runes, kinda, but it was like May the 2nd, not in April. But I've read How to Hack a Heartbreak by Kristin Rockaway. And so it's a contemporary romance, but the main character is a female web developer, and she's using a lot of some dating apps, but she's not successful with it, and eventually she makes her own perfect app. And I can say I like this book. I was thinking it would be more about female web developer than contemporary romance, and it was contemporary romance. I can't say that portrayal of web development was completely wrong, because you know, some movies, especially the old ones, you see like this like white guy just like doing this on the keyboard and he hacks a pentagon somehow. In terms of this, it was portrayed nice and pretty realistic, but still I was expecting more, kind of more details, more stuff like that. It was contemporary romance, and that's it. Also, I think the promise of the book says like she makes her own dating app. Actually, most of the book is not about this. It's about her life and also her romantic relationship, and also how to say that, because she's not successful with dating, at first she makes a website to kind of share unsuccessful dating experiences and kind of show bad guys on it, and only after some not pleasant circumstances she decided like I will make my own project and my own dating app. It's happened more like towards the end of the book actually. Yep. So I can't say it's a bad book. If you like romance, specifically contemporary romance, I would recommend it. It was an enjoyable read, but am I going to reread it? No. Am I going to buy a physical copy for myself? No. Overall, I think I like rated it 3 stars. It just wasn't a book for me, unfortunately. And when I mentioned book, I've started in May, and it was The Hollow Kingdom. Unfortunately, I don't remember the author. I forgot to write in my notes, I'm sorry. Here will be the cover, but it is the zombie apocalypse from the point of view of domesticated Krell. Basically, that's everything you need to know about this book. I really like the personality of the main character, but I haven't read a lot. I think I've read like 1/5 of the book. But pretty much at this point the plotline is only developing. So I can't say a lot about it, but I really like it. And I'm really happy that I've seen it somewhere on the Booktube and decided to add it on my TBR. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.